You're watching E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Share and subscribe.
Hey guys, welcome to Entertainment Talk Nation. This is Rob. This video we're going to do our movie review for X-Men Days of Future Past. Wow, it's very rare that I have experienced going to the movies 2 weekends in a row and being completely entertained, not being let down by what I saw on screen. X-Men was excellent. Excellent movie. I mean, this is kind of showing me that this is where Bryan Singer belongs. Now, this review here is going to be spoiler-free, so it's going to be kind of difficult because a lot of events took place in the movie that it would be hard to talk about them without giving stuff away. Because as the movie progresses, a lot of things start to tie in. So we all know that Wolverine goes to the past, okay, because the Sentinels have pretty much blown everybody away. So what happens is the Sentinels from the future have this power of adapting to the powers of mutants. So the more they adapt, the more difficult they become to destroy. And there are thousands upon thousands of these things worldwide. And while the remaining mutants are probably some of the stronger ones, even they are pretty much on the run. I mean, they're on the constant run to get away from the Sentinels. Warpath, and this is not a big spoiler here. Warpath, has that ability to see them coming. We all know what Blink can do. Bishop absorbing the power of mutants and stuff like. I mean. So they're constantly on the run. They'll fight them when they can, but for the most part, they completely avoid them. Now, eventually, what happens is we know that Wolverine comes back to the past to try and get Charles Xavier under control, so to speak. Get him back on the game. Now, I'm kind of going to stop right there because everything that happens after that really starts to unravel a lot of different elements of this movie and some other movies in the X-Men world. Now, the movie, considering anybody who had the fear, and I was one of them, I was included in this, anyone who had fear that all these characters would be too much, that fear is completely gone. They made it in such a way that you can appreciate all of them from the time they're on screen, and not a lot of them are on screen a whole lot. And these are things that most times us as fans, or even general moviegoers, will get upset about. Prime example, last weekend, Godzilla, where Cranston died in the first 20 minutes. Everybody, that disappointed everybody, even people who love the movie, even me. So, but this one, the way they do it is in such a way that you appreciate them when they're on the screen, even if it's not for a very long time. And there's some characters who get a lot of burn, and there's some characters who don't get much at all. So that's one thing, and that's that portion. So they handle the large cast very well. The storyline, which this movie had all the reasons to be a disaster, and it wasn't. Bryan Singer handled it very well. He handled the cast very well in terms of who to give the proper amount of screen time, who to give the proper amount of story. This is definitely more, I would see, a sequel to X-Men First Class than anything else. But basically, I'm going to put it like this. Basically, what he did was he took First Class, the world there, and he merged it with what he created and completely eradicated Brett Ratner. That's what he did. And he did it well. He did it well. So there's a lot of good stuff that happened. I'm really working hard to try and do this without spoiling anything. But the movie is very good. If you're an X-Men fan, if you're a superhero fan, this is probably right now the second best superhero movie of the year. Now, I know there's only been, 3? But you wouldn't think that X-Men would be above Spider-Man. Now, it's still hard for me to tell right now whether I gotta be honest, it's not hard for me to tell. I loved Captain America. I thought it was fantastic, but right now this is the #1 superhero movie of the year so far. #1 easily. It's not that there's no comparison, but Captain America is a solo movie of a superhero, where this is a faction of superheroes and in the mutants. So So in that case, this obviously has an advantage being a faction group where Captain America was solo. But still, even with a solo America movie, they're still really close because Captain America was excellent. Now, the other thing is they also really, really take advantage of a lot of different... You see me looking around because I'm like, how can I put this without spoiling the movie? Very difficult. You know, they still highlight a lot of the characters from X-Men First Class. That's what I'm saying. This is more like a sequel to me from X-Men First Class, even though it really isn't. It's more like a merger. It's a mindfuck at some points, but a good one. You don't really get confused. You know exactly what they're trying to do. They don't throw you all over the place. It's definitely a movie you might want to see more than once because I still have some questions, but for the most part, I think I pretty much got everything. You know, I think I pretty much got everything, but some people might need to see this movie more than once because they kind of throw a lot at you, but they make it clear. They make it clear. It's just that if you don't pay close enough attention, you might miss something. I thought Peter Dinklage was fine. I know that there were some reviews that said he wasn't villainous enough, but I don't think he was really out to play a villain. They made him more like a human who has a certain feeling of mutants. You know what I mean? Like, yes, you can say his acts are villainous, but I think Peter Dinklage does such a great job of conveying himself as a person who just feels a certain way about the mutants. It's not necessarily hate. In some ways, he even admires them. He even says that in the movie, that he has some admiration for them. So I don't think he was out. He was supposed to be villain by title, but I don't think that is what he's playing here. He is playing somewhat like a mad doctor. That because I guess he doesn't have the powers of the mutants, he maybe some sort of envious feelings, but they don't really, say that directly. That's just what I gathered out of it. But look, if you haven't seen the movie yet, go see it. Definitely go see it. If you didn't like Spider-Man, if Godzilla wasn't your cup of tea, because I know a lot of you guys didn't like Godzilla, this might be a good movie for you. I think it had a great story. I think the characters and all the actors, you had a really, really good star cast of characters here. They all did an excellent job at their roles. And I think if you watched and yes, I would recommend that if you haven't seen the X-Men trilogy, even Brett Ratner's, you kind of got to see that one a little bit to understand certain things. If you haven't seen the X-Men trilogy and if you haven't seen the 2 Wolverine movies, I would suggest you go see them first. I know that sounds crazy, but otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to miss something. You're going to see something that you're not going to understand. So that's kind of, I guess in some ways, its downfall. It almost, and it's not, like a break. Like, it doesn't mean that if you did see this movie and not the other ones that you're not going to enjoy it. You will. But if you really want to understand what he's trying to do with this movie and you really want to understand the story, there's certain little elements that you're not going to get if you don't see some of the other movies. It's not groundbreaking in terms of it's not going to make or break the whole film, but if you're really into the story, I would recommend it. I would definitely recommend seeing the other movies, at least to understand certain things that are going on, because some of the characters in this movie that they don't show in the trailers play a pivotal role in some of the other movies. So I'm going to leave it at that. But look, X-Men Days of Future Past is a very, very good movie. I thought it was, and I was very impressed with the way Bryan Singer got this large cast together, implemented them in such a way that it was very effective, at the same time telling a very good story, providing excellent action. Special effects there were some parts where the special effects were a little bit like, but again, once you take into account the story and some of the other things happening on screen, you can forgive that. At least I can. Some people won't. So you get one CGI blemish and you'll get somebody, that fucking CGI sucks. So because there's always got to be some people who just complain, but it doesn't bother me personally. There were some CGI blemishes. I really don't have anything to complain about with this movie. I got to be honest. Outside of what I just said about the CGI, I'm not saying it's perfect. Okay, there are certain things I wish I would have seen more of, but that's more of a compliment than a me knocking it. But I think the only down thing is that he kind of made a movie that you will enjoy if you just came out and saw it for the first time, but you will enjoy it more if you know all the other movies. So that would be my suggestion. Definitely go out and watch all the other X-Men and the 2 Wolverine movies, at least to get an idea of some of the things that take place in this movie. Otherwise, you're going to miss it. Anyway, guys, that's it for the spoiler-free review. This is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.
Thank you for watching E.T.N. Don't forget to subscribe and join the Nation Facebook page.